Hello everyone, welcome to financialexpress.com's budget series. Today we are with Ravi from KPMG India. He will talk to us about the auto sector. Welcome Ravi. Ravi, the first thing to start with is what in the auto sector looking forward to from the Finance Minister?
See, if you look at the series of events which have happened before the budget, especially the demonetisation, that has really impacted the auto industry in a negative way. The sales figures have dropped by almost 18% in December, and I think the biggest ask of the auto industry will be certain measures from the government which can help promote the sales and get them back on track. So one of the biggest asks would be to simplification of the indirect tax structure for the automobiles, because today they are different kind of combinations and permutations, different kinds of excise rates which are there. So if that is simplified and that is reduced, it will help the auto sector to bounce back. I think the second area probably which everyone is waiting and watching is the GST, and hopefully GST is going to take care of all these convoluted and complicated multiple tax structures that are there for both auto industry as such and the auto components as well, because that has a cascading effect on the final cost. So GST will provide that seamless flow of credit and simplification of multiple tax rates into a singular tax rate. In fact, in GST we'll have two kind of tax rates, one for luxury cars and one for other cars. So a combination of these changes through GST will also help the auto industry grow further.
A lot of talk, Ravi, goes on about a scrappage policy that we have. So, but nothing as such has been, we have observed. So what do you think Finance Minister can do for the auto industry on this regard?
See, I think the need of the hour, if you ask me, around this particular area is a strong implementation process. One of the major causes of, or one of the reasons contributing to the pollution around us is the old vehicles plying, the old diesel vehicles plying on the road. There were some changes announced in terms of more than 10-year-old vehicles will not be allowed to ply, but I am not sure how strongly it has been enforced. So I think, the starting point should be enforcement of current policies that exist already. And maybe, it could be followed up by incentives, a structured program of providing incentives on scrapping old vehicles or providing a replacement mechanism with new vehicles. So that combination probably would kind of help it.
That brings me to the next question about a cash for clunkers policy, which the US had some time back.
Right.
So, the Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari has been speaking about this. Do you think that is feasible in India? Will that work in India? Should Finance Minister consider that?
See, India is a very very diverse country and with huge population, right? So and maybe the way it can be brought about in India would be, in my view, should be in a structured manner rather than just a blanket cash for clunkers. Maybe they can start with a category of vehicles and maybe zero down on certain areas where they see there's an immediate need. For example, in the NCR, there is a huge amount of vehicles. So maybe in a structured and phased manner, if this is implemented, and then once it becomes successful in a particular area, then probably replicate it to the other zones.
Another thing that we talk every year is about green vehicles. And this year too, there's a lot of talk around that. So, do you think FM Jaitley can consider, giving incentives for green vehicles manufacturers? What's your take on that?
So, I think that's a very important area in my view. I think if this aspect is considered seriously, it can serve multiple purposes. So, today, when you want to manufacture green vehicles in India, there is a lot of duty that you have to pay on the components that you import for manufacturing. So I think one ask is that can we make the import of these components which are used for green and clean vehicles duty free, which will encourage people to manufacture these kind of vehicles more and more in India. It will also support the Make in India program, and ultimately it will help us clean our environment as well by promoting more hybrid and clean vehicles. I mean, if biggest example is if you go to a country like Japan, which is considered to be the innovating hub of automotive sector. Today, there is so much impetus on buying green vehicles that on the roads you will see at least 60 to 70% cars are all hybrid. So I think that change started there about 4-5 years back, and now they have reached this point. So probably I think that's what we need to start doing here in our country as well.
That takes me to my next question about transportation, public transportation and infrastructure. So we've talked about green vehicles and Japan moving to 60 to 70% of vehicles they being green. What do you think we can adopt as a policy in terms of public transport here in India, particularly in metro cities, tier 1, tier 2 cities?
So if you see, if you look back and compare what was there 10 years back and now, I think there is a lot that has happened in terms of metro coming up in NCR, and metro coming up in cities like Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai. So steps have been taken, but I think there is still a lot that needs to be done in terms of getting the public transport system right for two areas. One for commuters on a daily basis. So how can we? So for example, if you see the NCR part where we have metro coming to Gurgaon to a specific point, and then from that point to reaching to offices, there was no option available. But then with the rapid metro, that problem has been sorted out. So I think that kind of a model, a public-private partnership model, will help us do that last mile connectivity for passengers. And I think the second area is for the freight movement. I think today our country, as far as the freight movement in India is concerned, is largely dependent on trucks and lorries. So that should, and with given the fact that India has got one of the largest rail network system that we haven't exploited it enough for the movement of goods. And I think programs like Delhi Mumbai freight corridor, which is a part of DMIC, and similarly Chennai Bangalore industrial corridor. So through these structured programs and building more railway network for movement of freight would really help furthering this cause of getting a robust public transport system.
Thank you, Ravi, for this wonderful insight. Thank you, everyone.